I didn't notice when it happened. I didn't notice when it happened, and maybe that's why it felt so real. Because if it had been obvious, if it had come all at once, I probably wouldn't have trusted it. I would have questioned it, doubted it, looked for a reason to believe it wasn't real, but this was different. It didn't ask for attention, it didn't try to prove anything. It just showed up in the way my thoughts felt, quieter, not empty, just less chaotic. Like my mind wasn't constantly searching for something to fix or something to understand. I wasn't replaying conversations the same way. I wasn't analyzing every detail, trying to find hidden meaning or trying to make sense of things that never made sense. And I didn't even realize how much that had controlled me until it stopped. Until there was space where there used to be noise. And in that space, I started noticing something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Stability, not extreme, not overwhelming, just consistent. Like I wasn't constantly shifting between emotions, between doubt and clarity, between hope and confusion. I was just there, and that felt unfamiliar at first because I was so used to intensity, to emotional highs and lows, to that constant tension that felt like connection but wasn't. And without that, everything felt slower, calmer, more grounded, and part of me didn't trust it because calm felt strange, like something was missing, like I was supposed to feel more, but I didn't. And that's when I realized maybe I had confused chaos with meaning. Maybe I had gotten so used to emotional intensity that peace felt empty, and that shift, that quiet understanding was something I couldn't ignore because it changed how I saw everything. Not just the past, but myself and the way I experienced things. There was no moment, no clear shift, no day where everything suddenly felt different. It just changed slowly, quietly, in ways I didn't pay attention to at first. For a long time, everything still felt off. Like something inside me was still trying to find its place. Like I was still catching up with myself. I remember thinking, this is just how it is now. This is who I became. And maybe that was true for a while, but not forever. Because something started happening in small moments, almost invisible. I would react differently, not in a big way, just slightly. I wouldn't overthink the same things. I wouldn't question myself as much. I would feel something and just trust it without needing to analyze it, without needing to explain it. And I didn't even realize how big that was until I stopped and looked back and saw the difference. I wasn't the same, not in the way I feared, but in a way I didn't expect. I had changed, but not into someone, broken into someone, where someone who listened, someone who noticed the things I ignored before. And the realization felt quiet but powerful because it didn't come from forcing anything. It came from time, from sitting with things, from facing things, from not running anymore. I started noticing how certain things didn't affect me the same way things that used to trigger something now felt distant, like they didn't belong to me anymore, like they were part of a version of me that I had already outgrown. And that felt strange, but in a good way, because for so long, those reactions felt automatic, like I had no control over them. But now there was space between what I felt and how I responded. And in that space, I found something I didn't have before: choice. I could choose how I reacted. I could choose what I accepted. I could choose what I walked away from. And that changed everything. Not all at once, but enough to feel it, enough to trust it. I remember one moment. It wasn't important, it wasn't dramatic, but it stayed with me. I was alone doing something simple, and for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. Not distracted, not avoiding anything, just calm, and it didn't feel unfamiliar anymore. It felt natural, like I had finally stopped fighting myself. And that's when it hit me. I was okay. I was okay. And that word used to feel small, like it wasn't enough, like it meant something was missing because I thought I needed to feel strong, completely healed, completely sure to know that I was in a better place. But I started understanding that okay is actually a turning point, because okay means you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. You're not forcing feelings that don't come naturally. You're just allowing things to be, and that's something I never did before. I was always trying to fix something, to improve something, to change something, either in the situation or in myself. But now there was nothing to fix, and that didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful in a way I couldn't explain before I started noticing how I didn't need constant reassurance, how I didn't need to overthink every decision, how I didn't need to question my own instincts because they were clear, simple, direct, and I trusted them. Not because I forced myself to, but because they felt right. And that trust changed everything in ways I didn't expect, because it affected the smallest things. The way I spoke, the way I walked away from things, the way I responded to situations that used to drain me. I wasn't reacting the same way anymore. And that's when it really hit me. I wasn't just better. I was different in a way that protected me, in a way that made it impossible to go back to who I was before. And that realization wasn't loud. It didn't feel like a victory. It felt like clarity. Like something finally made sense after a long time of confusion. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I needed to prove anything to anyone. Not even to myself. I just felt aligned, and that feeling is something I never expected, because I thought healing would feel like something big, something obvious, something undeniable. But instead, it felt quiet, natural, almost invisible. And maybe that's why it matters, because when something is real, you don't need to question it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to convince yourself. It just feels right. And for a long time, I didn't trust that feeling. I thought clarity had to come with certainty, with intensity, with something undeniable. But it doesn't. Sometimes clarity is quiet, simple, almost easy to miss. And the only difference now is that I don't ignore it anymore. I don't push it away. I don't replace it with doubt. I listen. And that's something I had to learn. Not from others, but from myself, because it means it's real, not perfect, not completely healed. But okay, and that was enough, because before, felt impossible. Before, I thought I needed to feel strong, confident, completely sure to know I had healed. But that's not how it works. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for attention. It just shows up in the way you think, in the way you feel, in the way you respond, in the things you no longer tolerate and the things you no longer question. I didn't get my old self back. I became someone new, someone who wouldn't ignore that feeling again, the one that tells you something isn't right, because now I listen even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when it means walking away. And that's the difference. I trust myself, not because I'm always right, but because I don't abandon myself anymore. And that changes everything more than any closure, more than any explanation, more than anything I thought I needed before. I used to think that healing meant forgetting, moving on, never thinking about it again. But that's not what happened. I still remember, I still understand, I just don't feel the same. And that's how I know I changed. Not because it disappeared, but because it no longer controls me. And if you're still in that phase where everything feels confusing, where nothing feels stable, where you don't recognize yourself, just know this. It doesn't stay like that. even if it feels like it will, even if it feels permanent, it's not. You're not stuck. You're in the middle of something that takes time, something that doesn't look the way you expected, but something that matters more than you realize, because one day, without noticing, without forcing it, without chasing it, you'll feel it, that moment where things just make sense again. Not perfectly, but enough to breathe, enough to trust yourself, enough to feel like you again. And when that happens, you'll understand everything you went through wasn't just pain, it was change. Real change. The kind that stays, the kind that protects you, the kind that makes sure you never ignore yourself again. And that is something I never expected, but now I wouldn't trade it for anything. I was right all along. I didn't notice when it happened. I thought healing would be obvious, something big, something loud, but it wasn't. It was quiet. And one day, I just felt like myself again.